Hello and welcome to another installment of Frizz and the Grizz podcast. I am Trudeau, joined by my good buddy D Frizz. I'm glad you're still bringing the energy, my man.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. Happy Monday, as we say every week. Glad to be here.
Happy Monday. Glad to be here. Today is August 15th. I want to start off by saying, Darian, you broke Zach Wilson. You did it. Last week you came on here with some hot takes. Zach Wilson's better than Mac Jones. He's better than, I don't even know, Patrick Mahomes. You had him as like, the best quarterback ever. And then the very next week, falls
it's
over
like
doing a juke, hurts
the
himself.
curse of the commentary. You say it and it happens. Wasn't anybody expecting it. It was a juke, non-contact. All he did was try to juke left. Thankfully, at least what they're saying is it's not like season ending. It's just a huge setback. We'll get into that, obviously. We talk about preseason football a little bit later, but yeah, man, that as soon as it happened, phone flooded. Ping, ping, ping. Messages. So I appreciate you guys for listening. Like I said, talk to me on week 6 because we still got a whole lot of time left. I'm sticking with my predictions, but yeah, that one hurt. Not gonna lie.
I will say, like, it's a blessing and a negative, because here's the thing: like, you can go either way on this. He's hurt, so he could perform poorly. He's going to miss some time. He's not going to be as prepared. But there's your
out.
Your out is like,
Yeah.
oh well, my take would have been correct had he not hurt himself. He would have had time.
Won't do that. Will not do that. I will not play the Baker Mayfield, point of things where it's like, well, if he was healthy, you play the game, you get hurt. You play ball just like I did. Like, you play the game, you're out there. If you play that 50 cent, guess what? Give it 100. But if you don't perform, don't blame injuries. Don't say, well, I would have been able to do this. No, get on the field and do your job. So, like, there's no sympathy for me. He's just got to get out there and do his job.
Well, you got to go talk some sense to those Tua people, because they making excuses left and right for Tua. He's hurt. They got bad O-line. Go talk to Miami and get them straight.
No, there's no bad talk about Tua being hurt. Everybody just says he can't throw, which to me is...
Oh, no. You don't know about Tua.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I ain't no Dolphins fan. So, like, you're right. I don't hear people talking about Tua and his injuries being an issue. I hear about them saying his arm is an issue. And for some reason, it's like when he would throw, 60, 70-yard bombs at Alabama, and then he doesn't do it in the NFL. It's like, oh, he can't throw. I don't understand it. Their offense was not meant for or needed for them to throw down the field, but we'll see this year. We'll see what Tyreek. We'll see what they got now.
There are hives of Twitter who will go to bat and kill people for Tua. So, like, you just haven't ventured to that dark part of the internet. But as Darian already alluded to, we're going to talk a little football. NFL preseason 1 in the books, so we have some takeaways for that. But today we want to start with a different topic. I think since we recorded, KD has come out and said pretty much fire the coach, fire the GM. That happened. And then I guess today I saw that there's a report that he's contemplating, if they don't change anything and he's not gone, he's just not playing, he's saying. So, like, it's getting ugly there in Brooklyn. We haven't talked about the situation also. I just kind of want to, like, throw it out to you, D, and, like, what is, like, your feel on everything that's going on here?
I got a problem with the way Kevin Durant's, like, handling this, or, like, not handling this. He's superstar 1. If not the best, then the second 1B best player in the NBA. Like, you went to Brooklyn. You formed Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn was nothing. Absolutely nothing. Had a hell of a team, hell of a bench team. They were all having fun doing the gritty and whatnot before he got there. You kicked literally everybody out. Not only that, but you forced the hand with the owner to be like, bring in, we're gonna come in here with Kyrie. We both want to get paid, right? So he got paid without playing a year because of I think portion of the year, because of the year he came back from the Achilles, right? When he was in Golden State. Not only that, when they wanted another player, they got James Harden. All right, cool. James Harden, I don't think they had enough time frame. I think they 16 games together, something like that. Barely 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? If they got a bunch of back-to-backs, but like, it didn't work out. And you can blame Kyrie and whatnot, but like, he shipped him out of there. Got Ben Simmons. Like, the owner is bending over backwards for him. He's the superstar. Like, you should get over the fact of, like, I don't want these people here or I'm gone. Like, be that guy now. Like, we just saw Golden State win without him. Mm-hmm. Like, that, you got to do something. Like, at the end of his career, at the end of his legacy, the thing that aggravates me is when I see we don't do baseball cards anymore. I'll get you on the next point. There's no more baseball and basketball cards. I remember looking at, like, Michael Jordan cards. Chicago, man. I got friends
who seriously love those cards, man. Like, that's a game. Like, people.
What I'm saying is, on the back of them, it's dope when you see one player play with the same team.
Oh, I got you.
Like, KD is getting into that area where, like, if he's out, that's what, 4 teams in 5 years. Come on, man. Like, let's be real. You're a superstar. Like, they should come to you, not vice versa.
I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. Like, first of all, like the idea, like, oh, they don't like guys don't play in one spot anymore. Like, I think that's a lot to blame for us, like the consumers of the sport, because we go out there and be like, oh, you don't got no rings, like you're a bum, like you know what I mean? Like Chris Paul, like probably a top 5 point guard of all time. People were gonna hate on him because he has no NBA championship. So, like that kind of mentality from the sports fan is kind of influencing people bouncing around to chase those rings. And then you mentioned James Harden. I don't think KD wanted him out. It seems like the situation wasn't that Harden wanted out himself. I think there's like one commonality with this whole situation. It's the guy burning
Yeah,
sage in
it's
the locker
your
room.
long-term contract guy that you chose last week.
Yeah. So like I think the guy burning the sage is kind of the commonality here. It's a weird situation because like he's unhappy with the situation because they're really not left with a ton of like great. I don't want to say they're not winners, but they're just guys you don't want to build your franchise around in Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving because they're both kind of head cases or they're going to just cause locker room problems, right?
Mhm.
And I can see KD being there being miserable. But the problem with that is like at least one of those guys is your dude. Like it was your decision to do that tag up with him. And at this point, I'm just confused like what he really wants, right?
Exactly.
Because at first he said, oh, it's because Kyrie's not getting a long term contract. I just don't think that's how you treat players. But is it really that, or does he just don't not want to be there anymore? Like if it's the Kyrie thing, just say that and stick to your point. Like that's my point. But to say, oh, I want everyone fired now. But to be fair, here's like the little third eye open on this one, little
Mhm.
conspiracy. What if it really is just a long play to get Kyrie that extension? Because if he wants Sean Marks, the GM gone and the coach gone, Steve Nash, you can replace them with puppets, essentially, whoever you handpick,
They're just gonna
and
pay
find
him.
a candidate that's going to pay Kyrie so to make your boy happy, which would be bonkers if you're going through all this trouble just to make
Right.
Mr. Sage Burner, third eye guy happy.
It's just not worth it. So, like, at the end of the day, like, people still gonna remember legacies. Like, why do we think we still have this argument of Michael Jordan versus LeBron? Like, people got 20 years from now, our age group, when we're in our 50s, they're gonna remember this era right now of the change where people bounce around teams. And I mean, I know Stephen A said it, but for KD specifically, people are going to start to remember him for leaving Steph Curry.
I
Like,
don't know, man.
Curry
I
got
don't know.
another one without him.
I think though in retrospect, like people who come along and start watching basketball, maybe they're like 10 years old now and like they become adults 20 years like from now, 15, 20 years from now. I just think they'll think of KD as like, oh, he's got 2 rings because we just all look at the numbers. So like, oh, the guy has 2 rings, one of the greatest scorers of all time. He'll still be thought of at this like highest of the highest level, like a top 20 player, regardless of like the mess he's made now. Like maybe for us who's living in this shit, maybe
Mhm.
we look at it differently than someone who is the next generation of fan looking at just the pure numbers and like, oh, this guy was amazing. Like they don't have to be part of what we're living in now.
Took Kobe Bryant 8 years to shake that stigma. Everybody said it. You only won championships when you were Shaq. Like
But now
that's what
look at
he's
him.
flirting with.
No one
Yeah,
remembers
I
that.
mean,
I mean, people will bring it up as a excuse
now
against
because he
him.
passed away, like I think that's more of the thing that they won't talk on his name for it. But like that was his thing is you couldn't win without Shaq. And like I feel like that's going to follow KD now. If he keeps jumping ship and he's not anchoring down to like have people come to him and him stay there to win a championship, it's gonna be the same thing. I mean, I know I might be saying it. Curry's that guy. And as much as Durant did what he did in the finals to win those finals MVPs, like Curry did it again without him. It's the
Yeah.
proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to beat a dead horse with it, but like that's how I feel about KD. I think he's stretching this out. I didn't think about the whole, the long-term conspiracy theory that you just said. Like, if that's the play,
Third eye's
I just
open,
don't
man.
think yeah, like I just don't feel like that's right. But again, it's the NBA, it's a players league. So like that's they run the ship, honestly, which it sucks, unfortunately. I hate it, but I don't. I love giving the power to the players, but like they just got too much
Yeah.
power.
No, like I'm pro player empowerment. I just think that to be like to win a championship, right? I know everyone wants to get the best players, but you need to have a balance of like front office stability, making the little moves in the shadows, and good players, right? So like even like when LeBron went to Miami, right? You had a great core of LeBron, Wade, and Chris Bosh, but around them was one of the best organizations in professional basketball in the
Mhm.
Miami Heat and Pat Riley, like the Heat culture thing, right? It was amazing that he won when he went back to Cleveland because that was just peak LeBron doing his thing. And
Yeah,
say what you want about
let's
the
just throw
Lakers.
the team on my fucking shoulders.
Yeah, in the Lakers situation, like, they had the bubble helping them out, and Anthony Davis finally had a healthy year. But I just think in general, even if you have the best players, you're going to have some stability to like make it to the promised land. If you look at all the teams that's won in the past years, with the Bucks, the Warriors had their run, the Celtics made a good run this year. All of these teams have really good front office stability, and not just the players. And the net situation just isn't attainable or tenable because they have one of the two pieces, right? They have the excellent players, their front office, while I think they probably are good front office because I liked their direction prior to the KD and Kyrie
Mhm.
signing, I just think the front office has been neutered where they can't do anything without the approval of
KD.
co-owner KD over here.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it's a weird
handcuffs.
situation. I don't know how this can end well for KD. Like, what's the one situation where people will be okay with like how this ends and we'll move on and be happy? Is it staying in Brooklyn, or can he go somewhere else to a specific team, and then things kind of like work itself out over time?
If he goes to another team that's got another All NBA player, his legacy shot. He'll still go down as one of the best scorers of all time. Nobody will put him in the conversation of best players of all time because of it. It's just too many teams. It's too many. People are and I'm no LeBron defender, but we're already talking about this with LeBron. KD is not LeBron. You see what I'm saying? It's a lower tier player when it comes to their whole overall core of work. So like to me, if he goes to another team that's got another All NBA player, that whole chasing rings thing, I feel like it's gonna tarnish his entire
Yeah.
legacy.
I mean, he is 33, right? So like he doesn't have many more years of
No,
prime basketball left, maybe like two at most. Because I mean, think about it, like 2 years ago, he had that bad Achilles injury, and we're
mhm.
surprised he is where he is now. He's
Took
got
Kobe
to
out.
like shake all this dust. He's got to like make it to the finals at least the next 2 years without joining like this like a giant like powerful team already, right? Because that's the whole thing. Like everyone gave him shit for joining the Golden State Warriors.
Mhm.
So I mean, I guess staying and working this out with the Nets is probably maybe the best situation for his legacy. But how about this one? Ready? This would be fun.
Oh boy.
Young team on the up and up that's been just building and have his draft picks for days. I want the LeBron redemption arc for KD. Go back to Oklahoma City with all
Oh,
these young players. Imagine if he goes to OKC, right? Goes back to the team that drafted him, wins a title with them. All is forgiven, right? Like no
mhm.
one says anything bad about
Everybody will
KD ever
forget
again.
everything that happened. I don't see it happening because of the way he left OKC. Granted, LeBron did a show like he was a college athlete and put on a hat, but I just don't the way that people were like he didn't leave on good terms. It was not a oh, like, we tried our best and we couldn't give it for you. It was you were up 3-1 and you blew it against Golden State. Why are you leaving us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like that's I don't know. I mean, like I said, all is forgiven if that ever did happen. Huge shot in the dark for it too,
it
but
would be
like
fun too. That'd
it
be a
would be.
fun team.
He wouldn't he you live
He
long.
would
What
be
did
the
they
alpha
say?
too. Like
Well,
there would be no one on his level there.
right.
So like
Hmm.
if they won, it'd be like all him. Like you know what I mean? But they have a lot of
Absolutely.
good players. I don't think it would happen. But just for like a redemption, like if you want to write the perfect storyline for the NBA, because like I feel like the NBA is a very storyline driven league.
Yep.
If you want to write the most perfect storyline, he goes back to OKC and wins one there, or at least makes them relevant
You can make
again.
it to the the Western Conference Finals, and people will be like, "Hey, we got him back." That would be it.
Because
And then
the
by the
crazy
time
thing is,
he's out of his prime, people will be like, "Hey, he came back and he tried." That would be like the narrative for him.
yeah, and I feel like the narrative on him has switched so much recently because you remember just recently, it was 2 years ago when they made it to the semifinals against the Milwaukee Bucks, who went on to win the championship.
Oh, with his
He
foot. That was
carried
2 years
that
ago.
team. Like he
Yep.
had no Kyrie, he had no James Harden. I mean, he had James Harden who could barely walk, and took them, I think, to 7, and he almost. I mean, if his toe wasn't on the line for the
That's what I'm
3-point
saying.
shot,
Dude, the whole league changed because he wears size 13 instead
yeah.
of a size 12. Like
But could you imagine if the shot
everything.
goes in? Like, he's probably still thought of differently as like the beloved figure.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Game of inches. They say it in football, but my goodness, would everything have changed if he had a smaller foot? That just think about it. It's so weird.
Yeah, and this just goes to show you, man, you never sign up to do anything with Kyrie because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you save that topic
That's
for
a
another
warning
day
to
because
you.
well, hey, you chose him to go long term. I told him I just need the spark in the pan. I can't even remember who my long term. Oh, it was Rusty.
Rusty, yeah.
He's gonna do his thing.
Well,
But
I was more referring to, you're a big Lakers fan. If people don't know, and your Lakers are flirting, sniffing around Kyrie. That's
take
a
it,
trouble.
but it is. But it's better at the 1 and 2 than anything they got right now. So.
No, I know. I think
I'd
it
take
would be
Rondo back. Like that's what Rondo and Caruso. I don't want to get on the Lakers. Like I said, championship happened
Yeah,
2 years in a bubble ago, so I'm happy. Just let me die by my in anger with how bad they're gonna be for the next 10 years.
I'm
But
sure.
we'll be fine
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more interesting storylines for the Lakers and the NBA
as the season unfolds.
as the season gets close. Like, we're definitely itching and excited to talk basketball because I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm wearing a Timberwolves jersey right now. I know you love the Lakers, but we did have a bunch of actual games played, even though they didn't count for anything. We had a bunch of games this weekend. NFL preseason week 1 kicked off, right? I'm going to be honest in the front end. I'm not a big preseason week 1 guy because you barely see the ones, but you actually went in and watched a good chunk of games. So, like, give me some of your assessments. Maybe we can talk about some of the stuff that you saw. What'd you
Go
take
ahead and
away
sit
from week
up.
1?
Crack the
It's
knuckles on
close,
this
huh?
one because as much as you said something about Zach Wilson and plagued him with the injury, Trey Lance is that guy in San Francisco. It's preseason, right? Hear me out. Preseason. The pocket presence, again, everybody keeps saying he hasn't played enough games. You're still playing an NFL speed, right? And that toss that he had down the left sideline was an absolute dime, drop in the bucket. And you know who can't do that? Jimmy Garoppolo. Like that's the problem. Is
I mean,
the
come on.
49? Look, man, let's just see how it. Go watch it. Go watch
I'm
his
just saying,
drive. Right?
no. That's not even like a Trey Lance. Hey, come on. We're really like, that's the bar. You're better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
No,
Congratulations.
but
You're
the
the world's
difference is there's
tallest
one
little person.
with what they had at Jimmy Garoppolo playing the quarterback, they still made it to the NFC Championship, and he's part of the reason why they don't win. They were in a Super Bowl, and he had a wide open wide receiver down the middle of the field, and he overthrew him by like 20 yards because he can't throw the ball downfield. Like that's Jimmy G in a nutshell. What Trey Lance is going to do is literally open up every part of that playbook that Kyle Shanahan is going to have. Kyle Shanahan is an incredible offensive coach. So he's going to scheme him to hit passes, get him in, his comfort zone, these dink and dunk passes. But what people can't, what they won't be able to defend is that 40-yard pass down the field that they weren't expecting because Jimmy G was in the backfield. Like now Lance is. Not only does he have, I think it was air yards, like the highest air yards out of 50 attempts for quarterbacks. He had 10 plus yards. Jimmy Garoppolo was literally dinking and dumping at 7. So it's like that opens up your entire playbook. And this is just his arm. We're not even talking about his running threat. Like right now, he's pocket controlled. If something breaks down, he's dipping out. He's got the athletic ability to do that. I like I said, it's week 1, but as of right now, like I said last week, San Francisco got it right. Like Trey Lance is that guy. He's to me, he's definitely going to have that big leap. He's going to make some stupid mistakes. He is a rookie technically because it's his first year. The Patrick Mahomes treatment, but don't I guess shed an eye on them possibly making the NFC Championship the same way that Patrick Mahomes did with the Chiefs, taking over an incredible team.
I was gonna say, Darian, please don't turn me into a Trey Lance hater. I feel like we're going down the road. You're gonna ride with him so hard that I'm gonna
the whole way.
rooting against him.
Way. That's fine.
But I got 2 numbers for you.
Mm-hmm.
4, 5.
Yeah.
He was 4 for 5. He threw 5 passes.
You're
losing your mind right now.
Hey, that one pass that was an absolute dime. Take him out. We've seen enough. That's it. That's it. That's the ball game. We don't need anything else from him. Get him out. Get Sudfield in there. Like that's what they did. There's no need. All right, they're gonna need to get more reps. So week 2, week 3, he
We'll see
probably
next
won't play.
week.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play this week. Week 2 is usually where they sit everybody. That's technically their starters, and then they'll play because there's only 3 preseason games now, right?
I
I
think
know
they
there's
just
the
went
whole
away.
rule change.
I
So
think they
like
may have
he'll
just went
play either all of week 2 or all of week 3, but one of them he'll sit. There's a whole funkiness behind it because it's not that 4th game anymore. But that's me. That's how I feel. It might have been 5 passes. You might look at it that way, or you can see out of those 5 passes that he threw, absolute darts, absolute dimes turned into a 75-yard touchdown with 50 of it being a bomb down the field. I think it's a hell of a throw.
Everyone has a series, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get too
Okay.
excited.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait and see with Trey. I know
They
you.
got it right.
I mean, it seems like in comparison to these other guys that were drafted around him, they probably got it right. They didn't get Zach Wilson, who we'll talk about that situation in a minute. I mean, Mac Jones. Maybe you can make a case for Mac Jones being the right pick over him, but then over in the Bears, what's his face? I'm drawing a blank.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields isn't looking too good, so maybe they made the right choice. Um, you know, Speaking of like the Jets game, we talked right off the bat that you cursed Zach Wilson. He'll miss a few weeks, but
Yeah.
I did like some of the stuff out of that game. In particular, I thought Jalen Hurts looked really good. I do like the Eagles as far as like what they've shown so far. I think they're a sneaky team this year. I know people are not really talking about them. They were a decent team last year, but I think you're going to see another year of progression with Hurts. And he was 6 of 6. So like if you fall in love with 4 for 5, 6, man. You know
Hey
what I
man,
mean?
he's got even more time under his belt too. Don't let me get on the Jalen Hurts train because
Yeah.
that brother is starting to get the treatment of other quarterbacks that really get on my nerves the way that people talk about them. But if we're gonna talk about that
Nah,
Eagle,
we
we're
don't
gonna
talk
talk
about
about
that one.
okay,
You can go wherever you
cool,
want. I
cool.
just wanted to mention
No,
Jalen
you're
Hurts.
good. I mean, just the biggest thing about that, like I said, with the Eagles Jets, like that injury, it's gonna set Zach back. Obviously, like any type of injury to your meniscus, like that's not good. I know a couple of people that have hurt that, that part of their knee. Bone bruise, I think, was with it as well. So, like, thankfully, it's not an ACL, MCL, PCL. Like, you dodged a huge bullet because the season was over. They built that team to benefit from the way that he plays quarterback, not whoever the backup is. I know Mike White, I think, is the
He was
backup.
he had a game last year though. He had a game last year. You remember that? The Michael White
Yeah,
game?
one game, the Mike White game. Yeah, everybody's ready again, cooling them off, the fans and all that. Then the next week, nothing. But like that's the Jets, honestly, unfortunately. But I think if he's gonna miss a ton of reps, he's gonna miss a lot of playing time when it comes to just
Here's
getting the familiarity with his team. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, I think the biggest thing isn't as a negative for Zach Wilson. I think this might be a positive for Zach Wilson in a weird way. Hear me out on this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Jets are heading towards a Tua situation with Zach Wilson because this is the situation that Tua's in, right? He gets drafted high. He's a big prospect. Comes in year one. I think he sat the first 5 games. I think he came in at game 5 at some point or game
Forced them
6.
in.
He played a couple games, and I think you saw they sat him again for a game or two, and they put Fitzpatrick in. So he had kind of like a mixed first season. Season 2 last year, he's hurt for a couple games, and they have on record one of the historically worst offensive lines ever for a team. So like, it's really hard to assess like, is his struggles due to the circumstances around him, or is he just not what you thought he was? And I think we're heading that way with Zach Wilson, where year one you can kind of write off because that team was so bad,
Awful.
and they actually have added some kind of nice pieces around him offensively. But now he started the year injured. You don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. Are those injuries going to nag throughout the season? So I think in a weird way it might be good for him because you might go into year 3 and the Jets are like, I still don't know if this guy's as good as we thought we were. We're gonna have to ride it out another year. So I don't know. With him, it's not cut and dry what he's gonna be, and they're going to be patient because they spent second overall pick on him.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Because you've seen in the recent years, like with the way that they structure the contracts for rookies now, you're more easy to move on from that quarterback. Like if you make a huge investment, you can move on quickly. And we've seen that before. We've seen the Cardinals do that recent years when they drafted I think it was Josh Rosen, and
Yep.
after 1
And
year he
then
was gone.
Kyler, literally the next year.
Yeah, so like I think he's buying himself some more time by weirdly not playing. Obviously, it's not good for his development, but I think he got at this point he's gonna have to get another at least a third year to figure out what the heck's going on.
True, but that also puts Salah. I can't remember say his
Salah, Greg
Salah. I
Salah.
know. Yeah, that puts him on the hot seat for it. The coach is tied to the quarterback the same way that Cliff is tied to Kyler. Like is what Robert Salah is Salah. I can't say
I
his
think you might. I don't know who's pronouncing it right. I think we're doing the right spelling. It's
yeah.
Salah, but I think I like the way you say it. So keep going with Salah.
Salah. Yeah,
It's
we'll
very
say that.
exotic the way you do it.
I
It's
think he's he's tied to Wilson. So like if the organization sees Salah as the long term, like all right, like you're building pieces. They dominated this past year's draft. So like if they continue with that type of success with building their team, it's going to extend Wilson because the quarterback and the coach are tied together, especially when they come in together. But if he looks at it, he's like, I don't know if this is going to work out. Like that owner may also be like, well, I don't know if you're going to work out. Like, because if you're going to bring somebody else in, now I have to hopefully think that you get another 3 to 4 years to keep my organization afloat. So like that's it'll come down to the coaching. If they're going to use this year as like the maybe not so peak year, let's wait till next. That it's going to start to get the coach on the hot seat for it.
Man, I feel like we have done a disservice to our watchers and listeners by talking like 4 minutes, 5 minutes of the Jets. Like, what are we doing?
Get them out of here. Yeah.
Another situation I was kind of interested in, I was following were the Panthers and kind of how they would handle their quarterback situation. Like I said last week, I think it's pretty clear cut that Baker will be the starting quarterback week 1, and it looks like that's what they're hinting based on how they rotated the guys in preseason game 1. I thought he was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. Do you have any thoughts? Did you watch the game first of all at all?
Yeah, it's weird that I have to, but like I will be watching a lot of Carolina Panthers games. So like I was able to actually watch the like insider broadcast, like the sideline, questions from the quarterbacks. And you can tell that the organization is treating Baker completely different than they're treating
Sam,
just in the interview question. So like sideline, they go up to Baker and they're just very excited. Like, hey, you came with the energy, you did X, Y, and Z. Like this is what we were looking to get out of you, but like, what are we thinking about getting in the future? And like he even said, like, look, I'm here to play right now. Like, I don't want to talk about my past. I'm no longer a Brown. Like, this is what we want to do while I'm here with Carolina, X, Y, and Z. And you can hear the like excitement with them, right? And then they went and interviewed Sam Darnold, and they were like, yeah, so it looks like, you went 2 for 4 and you made a bad pass to the tight end. What's the deal with that? And he was just like, yeah, I mean, I made a bad pass. I don't want to, and like he even started like thinking about he's going to blame somebody else. And then they were like, all right, we got to get back to the game. And like walked away. And I was just like, yeah, they're handing these keys over to Baker. Like Matt Rule knows what he's doing. He knows what he had in Sam when last year, dude came out hot, came out on fire, and then hit a wall.
Yep.
And never recovered from hitting that wall. So like you got to go Baker. You have to.
Yeah. It's weird because like who of the quarterbacks are that I low key like the most? Like I think Baker is probably the most talented because his pedigree and we know we kind of know what we've seen with Sam Darnold. But I think did you just say like PJ?
Yeah.
PJ is fun as hell, man. Because
it's gonna bother me because like just little things like that. Like instead of saying PJ Williams, like I know him because I actually watch these damn Panthers games. But yeah, he's fun to watch. He's a little dude that can move around and he has a decent arm.
His story is cool too because I think before he got his NFL shot, he was in the XFL before it folded the second time, and he was I think like the MVP candidate at the time. He was tearing up the XFL. Got a chance in the NFL, and he played. I don't know how many. I think he started a game at least last year. He played a bunch of games last year for the Panthers, and he's fun. He's not great. He's probably a career backup, but he's legit like a spark plug, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's I think they had like donned him or like quoted him as the Patrick Mahomes of the XFL. Just an exciting player, no matter what. Oh, hey now, and of course, big shouts to
Higgins
Mr.
in the chat.
Higgins with anything that talks about Jets or anything like that.
He must be sad. We just covered the Jets for like 5 minutes. He must have missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to revisit it because again, we talk way too much about the team that plays in New Jersey, but they call themselves New Yorkers. But yeah, that I think PJ Williams is again, he's like you said, career backup, not somebody that you're gonna start on a day-to-day basis, but like somebody that you can plug in if somebody goes down. He'll keep your team afloat. He's not going to get you to a championship,
I
and
mean,
there's nothing wrong with that. Like teams need those, and you could look at just a snippet. You can look at the Patriots situation. If Mac
okay,
Jones
wait,
went down, well, I'm just saying, if Mac Jones went down, who's their backup? They thought that it could have been,
Stidham? Was it
yeah,
Stidham?
no, the other dude, old guy, that played in
Oh, Brian
Indianapolis.
Hoyer.
Yeah,
He
like they
he's
thought that
been
it
there
was him, and
forever.
then it was like, oh my goodness, like we don't have a backup. Like you need a backup quarterback that keeps your team in afloat till you get your starter back.
Can I say something? When you were talking about the Patriots just then when you started, I was about to lose my mind because when you said the Patriots and backups, and I was like, are you going to compare PJ Walker to Tom Brady right now?
No.
That would be a hot take, man.
Yeah, man, we'll save that one. If he has another great preseason game, you just might hear that come out from me.
All right, so I watched zero preseason week 1. Actually, I may have like had a game on for 10 minutes in the background when I cooked dinner one night. But you've watched all the preseason football. Is there anything else you want to touch on from this week 1 slate?
Really quickly, and we can move on from it because I can't stand this team. And I said it last week, Dallas. They are so annoying. Every year we go through this same stuff where they're ranked high, Vegas odds to make it to the NFC Championship, make it to the Super Bowl. Love Dak. Their team is going to have the same problems. Dude, they had 20 penalty. Was it 20? I think it was 20. I mean, 17 for 130 yards. It's preseason, right? Referees aren't trying to throw flags. It's preseason. You see what I'm saying? And you had 17 for 130. Like it's the same stuff every year. McCarthy is not that guy. He never will be. And it's annoying that like now we got to dangle Sean Payton over the heads, for the whole season. And it's like, look, man, get him out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like revamp the same way that they used to play with that offensive line because this time management, dink and dunk, Prescott, Cowboys, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose their window. It's
Mm-hmm.
closing. It's closing very fast, and they just paid Dak. So like,
Do they still have the OC there? Because he was very highly touted. I forget who it was. He used to be the previous
he's a
Kellen Moore.
quarterback.
Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
Is he
I
still there?
believe he's still there. Again, I'm
Okay.
no Cowboys aficionado, but like it's just I'm just sick of hearing it, and I'm you heard it here, like it's something I believe. Actually, I'll save it just in case if it comes up as a topic.
Okay.
But the Cowboys, I'm telling you, it's like it's frustrating that America's team is on Fox. Like I don't
Dude, I
want to
hate
see
that.
them anymore, man. Like it's just get over it.
I'm
Oh
so
my
happy you said that
goodness,
because I hate that every time when I turn on the 4 o'clock game, it's the
it's the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Every time.
We gotta
Regardless of
see
if
this.
they're 10-4 or
Oh,
they're 4-10, it's the Cowboys. I will say, like,
watch them
with
on
McCarthy,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, every year. With
Oh,
McCarthy, like, there's a reason why Green Bay let him go. They had they have one of the best quarterbacks of his generation in Aaron Rodgers, and to win 1 Super Bowl and to run such a
disgusting.
vanilla offense with him is just an absolute shame. And I feel like having him over there in Dallas, you're seeing some of the same stuff again, right?
It's not even just the
It's not creative.
offense. It's the time management.
Oh yeah,
It's the
we can look
discipline.
back at last
Like
year just for that.
it just the discipline too. It follows where he goes. If you have a lackluster leader, you are gonna have a lackluster team. It's just how it goes, and he's not that.
Yeah,
Again, recycled coaches that fail significantly and then get big jobs like the Dallas Cowboys.
there's just dudes like that. There's just Fisher from the Rams sticks out to me.
Jeff
It's just
Fisher
Jeff Fisher
stuck
sticking.
around for a while, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mediocrity is best. And the weirdest thing about the situation was, do you remember how he got that job?
Where was he before it?
Well,
He was in the Rams before that, I believe.
no, I'm sorry. I sorry to confuse you. I'm talking about McCarthy. Like, what?
Oh,
Do you remember the situation leading up to him getting that job?
freshman memory.
He had like a sleepover at Jerry Jones the night before.
No. They bring
Grown man
sleeping bags?
sleepover.
No, cut it
I
out.
imagine him and Jerry Jones sitting in the living room, 2 o'clock in the morning playing like Nintendo, having chocolate milk, and
with
he's like,
Monopoly on the table. Hey man,
"Yeah."
it's your move. Roll a 7, baby.
He
Oh
was just
my
trying to butter that
god.
man up to get the job, and I think he's regretting it ever since.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is also another guy that just that whole organization. Ugh,
Yeah.
it's such a disappointment. I won't go down the road of one championship in 30 years, but like that's like where they're headed. Like that's where they are. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like let's stop talking about them as America's team. Like they're not. Like as much as I hate to say it, like it was New England for a very long time. Like I don't want to see them on
Uh,
Fox. I don't want to see the.
they didn't have the same cultural relevance. Like New England was we lived in this area, so like we felt like it was bigger than it was. Like, yes, the Patriots were a very good dynasty team, but I don't think they have an impact like the Cowboys do. Like listen, I live in New England now. I see people with Cowboy shit all the time.
Yeah,
Do you see people with Patriot stuff all around the country?
no, but they
That's
travel.
my point. My point is like there's the Cowboys have such a big cultural impact. The Patriots were never able to capture. I don't know why. I think
Yeah,
maybe because the players back in the day with the Cowboys were fun, right? They had
but
some
it's off coat.
yeah, well, they had a really fun team, so maybe that's what it was. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm happy they stink and they have problems because I like to see the Cowboys fans miserable.
Yes,
Brings me joy.
absolutely. And I have a couple of buddies that I do text whenever the Saints whoop the Cowboys' ass, and I just love it.
The one thing that made me happy and kind of surprised with week one, the one thing I did follow was that the Jaguars fans were chanting at Deshaun
Oh
Watson, "You
my,
sick fuck."
yeah.
I'm surprised because I thought of all places Jacksonville would let that fly, but man, he's gonna get some
It's gonna
serious hate.
follow him. It is,
Oh yeah,
yeah. He that.
he's fucked.
Make sure your phone is not on, loud if you're watching any type of highlight or low light involving Deshaun Watson for the whole season, because that's gonna follow him. That
Yeah.
so it was bad with Ben Roethlisberger 15 years ago.
This is way
There
worse.
wasn't, yeah, there was no social
I'm
media
wondering if he's gonna get applauded in his home stadium, right?
in Cleveland. Yes,
Yeah, they love it.
because he's
Anywhere else
there.
though.
He's there. Yeah, he like you can boo him, but as a as a fan, it's like, what have you had? We all seen the jersey that's got 30 names on it for quarterbacks. Like he's your best out of any of them combined that has ever walked through Cleveland. So let's
I
keep it
don't
let's
I
keep
don't
keep
envy
it
their
real.
situation though because it would be hard to be a Browns fan.
It always is hard to be a Browns
Oh,
fan. It's
yeah.
not just this year, man. Don't make it
Yeah.
sound like it's changed.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, so we covered a lot of
A
preseason
lot of
week
football.
one. Obviously, not a ton of action, right? We don't have a lot of ones out there. Next week, I'm sure we'll have. Actually, we're gonna take a week off of actual hardcore, like on the field stuff. Next week, we're doing a fantasy football special. But I think the week after we'll have preseason week 3, which is great because then at that point we can kind of recap,
Yep.
the totality of preseason going into week 1. Last chance for you before we jump into the Frizz's 5. Are there any last comments you want to make on week 1?
No, I think it was a good brand of football that I was able to watch. Some of the games that I did get to see. I'm ready for it to be the regular season. But I think that was basically it. I touched on the points that I wanted to, but ready for week 2, ready for the regular season. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
just ready for the regular season.
We want us some real football. None of
Yeah.
this preseason crap. All right, let's get it going. The biggest segment in podcast right now. Hottest segment on the streets.
Yes,
Most,
sir.
most controversial for sure. Let's get to it.
Prepare yourselves for the greatest and most unique segment in podcast history. Let's rank some stuff with D. It's time for Frizz's 5.
Bang, baby.
All
Oh,
right, we had a hot start last week of Frizz's 5. We had Darian's top 5 sports movies of all time.
well, yep,
This week, the topic came in a little weak, but a little late. I'm sorry. It was not a weak topic.
Oh yeah,
When
I was
he
about to
texted
say, yo,
me
but throw
what it
some at you.
was, I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do this. Darian, this week, what are we ranking?
So there will be no runner-ups, none of that. We're just going straight 5 top 5 cereal brands. And the way that I say it, let's go. Get them up there. The way that I say it is it's my 5. It ain't your 5. Starting off with number 5. All right.
Oh,
This
damn,
is
you're
how
coming hot. You're coming
Yeah.
hot.
No, again, no honorable mention. We're done with that. We played it out too much with all that description. Number 5, honeycomb.
Honeycomb. Interesting number 5. I feel like that would not make my top 5. What's your case for honeycomb?
Honeycomb is a great cereal to just kick back and relax to. It's like one of those cereals when you're watching cartoons with the little ones. It's not very sugar flavored. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of mellow. It's a little bit better than, let's say, like Wheaties or just regular Cheerios, not Honey Nut. Like it's not as sugar filled. So I'm not expecting there to be like a giant jolt after eating it. It's just one of those relaxing style cereals.
Let me get straight. So you're factoring in your top 5 for top 5 cereals, the kind of the health effect of it as well.
Everything encompassed with eating the cereal itself.
Oh, so the experience.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna hit everything with that. It's like I said, this is just 5, baby. But number 4, coming in a great color. I see a great number 2. Cap'n Crunch.
We're on. What was that?
Cap'n Crunch.
I have disagreement, but I'll hear you out.
Cap'n Crunch. We not talk about berries. We talk about the stuff that gets stuck at the top of your mouth. Great feeling, man, because you're sitting there and when you're trying to finish it. I don't know about you, but it's odd joys for me. Yeah. T again. It ain't your 5. It's my top 5.
Hey, you got a supporter. You have a supporter though. Someone's with you on the honeycomb.
Hey, good crunch. Exactly. After a while, we'll dig into it again with other cereals. But like that for me, Cap'n Crunch is there. I like the way it tastes, obviously. And again, weird feelings because like when you're done eating, you think you're done, you still got some on your teeth. Let me get that back later. It's like eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich. You think you're finished, but you're not because you still got some stuck in your teeth.
Here's the thing, man. I think Captain Crunch is top 5 most overrated cereals of all time.
Oh man,
I set you up on that one.
Yeah, I was ready for it. But
do you value the roof of your mouth at all?
I mean, everybody eats pizza really fast and it burns the top of the mouth, so it really doesn't matter.
If that's the logic, I guess so. But man, if you finish a bowl of Captain Crunch, you're not bleeding from the roof of your mouth. You're not eating Captain Crunch.
There's a bunch of people that would put other cereals in the top 5 and it has that same effect. But we're on to number 3, baby. Number 3, coming in hot. Apple Jacks.
Man, I am worried about this list. There are so many cereals that are missing so far that I would have in top 5. This is Frizz's 5.
This is mine. And Apple Jacks, it takes the cake. It just missed the top 2, but it takes the cake for probably best tasting cereal milk. Like when you're done with Apple Jacks, it's just like, I could pour a bowl, let it sit for 20 minutes, throw out the cereal, drink the milk. But the cereal itself is absolutely incredible. It's
what's
the milk.
The number 1 cereal for the milk afterwards? I have a nominee for the best cereals milk afterwards. Oh, I have 2.
That's what I'm saying. To me, it has the number 1.
That's the number 1.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Cocoa Puffs. Oh, so the milk. I'm just saying the milk afterwards.
Right. Okay.
You're drinking chocolate milk after you're done.
Yeah, true.
Number 2, which would be my number 1 on my list, and I hope to God it's your number 1 so we can be friends still. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. The milk afterwards is delightful.
It's not bad. It's not.
Oh
bad.
Man, so this is I'm taken by that response is not in your top 10.
Well, yeah. Again. It's
all right. It's your list. It's the first
exactly. But
hey,
look down there. My top 5. But yes, Apple Jacks says 3rd. Number 2. It is a heavy hitter in all old heads like this type of cereal. Frosted Flakes. They are great. Tony the Tiger is that guy. Give me a bowl of Frosted Flakes any day of the week, any time of the day, morning, afternoon, and night. Frosted Flakes is that cereal, but it's number 2.
All right. Well, man, I just vehemently disagree with this list so far. I'm hoping number 1 you redeem yourself, but we're here. Number 1, your number 1 cereal of all time.
Do you got a drum roll for this? If not, we'll have to implement that moving forward.
Don't have a drum roll right now.
Don't worry about it.
Don't get you a drum roll for number 1 next week. How's that sound?
Yeah, I like it. We'll move forward with it, from here on out. Number 1, the best cereal of all time. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
My guy.
Best cereal Of all time, there is no cereal that compares. Again, I wasn't trying to give it away with what you were saying with the way it tastes.
Yo,
There is no cereal that puts everything together like a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch. The actual taste of the cereal, the little bit of a sugar kick that you get to it. Again, the milk still one B for me. I like Apple Jacks better, but it's still one B, right? And when
mhm.
you're done, you literally could have another bowl right after it. You're like, is that it? Did it just end?
It's
Hold
amazing.
on a second. Let me you have to get family sized because if you get regular, it's gone in 3 bowls. That's the way it is for me. So yes, that is number one for me. Absolutely, cinnamon toast crunch is the best cereal of all time.
I'm with Jordan. Fruity Pebbles is the truth, man. Although here's the thing,
See,
I want to bring up
okay.
the Fruity Pebbles point that actually runs very close to your number one,
Mhm.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, if you have it sitting in milk for 10 seconds or 3 minutes, it doesn't get bad. Like it's not
Nope,
too soggy. The Pebbles cereals, if you have it
it's
in milk,
gone.
it's
It's
just
gone.
soggy. I just
Yeah,
can't.
not only that, but like you can't separate the milk from the cereal if you let it sit for too long. That's why that Fruity Pebbles was not up there. Captain Crunch Berries, same thing. Like you said, Cocoa Puffs. Like you talk about like hurting the root of your mouth.
Those are
Cocoa
tough.
Puffs, yeah, Cocoa Puffs and Reese's Puff cereal. Come on, man. Like when you're done, you like you said, you are bleeding. Like I'm
Bleeding.
good. Like I'm good. But yes, when it and hey, appreciate you, ATV. Like Frosted Flakes, like I'm saying, it was not easy to get 1 and 2, but there's no competition. There's no
See,
competition for
he's got
cinnamon
he's
toast
got me
crunch
on
when it comes to
the mush
cereal.
comment. He's got me. I feel like Frizz's five is the best segment because people get so fired up with whatever the top five is,
That's
especially
what
when it's
we are
really
here
like
for.
cereal. Cereal is everyone can relate. I do have three, and I wrote down that I'm surprised didn't make your list, and
Mhm.
they should be mentioned. Would they be? Let me ask you this: would these be honorable mentions? Fruit Loops. I feel like everyone loves Fruit Loops. It's a classic. What honorable
Oh,
mention?
I didn't know if you're gonna go all three, but we'll go
No,
one
no,
by
one
one.
at a
Yeah,
time.
Fruit
Yeah,
Loops. Yes and no. It's there. It compares to Apple Jacks, but it's like when you get Frosted Flakes and when you get frosted corn. Like that to me, like that's you go to Walmart and you can't afford Frosted Flakes, so you get frosted corn, whatever they call it as the knockoff. That's what I think Fruit Loops are to me because of how much of a high I put Apple Jacks on. Like I just can't have
yeah,
it because it's like a secondary.
that's straight. And then, all right, my other one. I think this one's probably the lowest of the three I wrote down. Tricks, solid cereal. I feel like it's loved by the kids.
They got rid of a lot of the flavors and tricks. I think they got rid of like the bananas
Huh. Oh,
because
by the
because the
way, I learned this a couple weeks ago. Speaking of Fruit Loops, did you know all of the colors are the same flavor?
yes.
I did not know that. Fun fact for you
Um,
guys out there: all the colors, there's no different flavors. It's all the same.
Another curveball with what kind of similar to what you just said, and I can't do the science behind it. All Skittles are the same besides lime green.
Oh no, you just ruined Skittles for me, man.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and do a taste test and try to differentiate the difference between them. Other than the green, I think it's lime green is the only one that actually has a flavor. But your mind associates the taste with the
With the
color
fruit.
Skittle that you're eating. Yeah, you see red, you're like, oh, it's fruit punch.
Hell
No,
yeah.
or cherry. Nah, they're all the same.
All right, the last one I feel like is one of the most popular cereals. Didn't even make your list, your top five. I'm hoping it's outside looking in. Lucky Charms.
Nope. Heart stars and horseshoes, clovers and
Not.
blue moons.
Oh man,
Nah.
you never as a kid
I
like
don't like
just going
marshmallow.
digging for the marshmallows in the
Nope.
bag. Like
I don't like
that's where it's at.
marshmallow and I don't like marshmallow in my
Mm,
cereal. No, thank you.
mm.
No, sorry. I'm not a marshmallow guy. I don't eat s'mores. I don't eat marshmallow on top of hot cocoa. So
Ugh,
like maybe that's the reason why.
it's
But
too
like,
soft. Marshmallows too soft.
yeah,
Don't eat that
yeah,
shit.
baby soft, marshmallowy. I know a bunch of people have heard me say that when I talk about basketball. But no, I don't like marshmallow. So no, that would not be in my honorable mention, unfortunately. Tricks, again, they got rid of a lot of the flavors. That is a lot of flavor that's like all in one bite. But your what did you say the other one was? Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops, it might be there, but it's just like I said. To me, it's the baby brother of Apple Jacks.
I feel like we found a topic that all of America can get into. I don't care where your background is. You love cereal. You want to debate us. That was fun. All right, let's get into our last topic. We'll have a little game to end the show. we have like 10, 15 minutes left. So we'll see how far we get through this. A new segment called Takes from a Hat. It's a play on, if you ever watched Whose Line Is It Anyways, Scenes from a Hat, where you get randomly assigned a scene, you have to act it out. Takes from a Hat is kind of different. We have several sports takes, and they're all arguably terrible takes. Right? They are takes you would never defend in real life. Maybe you have a weird friend who vaguely watches basketball and says some random shit. Well, these are his takes right here in this cup. So I'm going to draw them randomly. Darren, you can go first. Basically, you're going to have to defend whatever take comes out of this, and I will argue against it. Are you ready?
Boy. Absolutely. Let's get it.
All right. So your first take. Oh, you are happy about this one.
Let's
Your
go.
first take is that Eli Manning is definitely a Hall of Famer.
Let's go. Let me rip off some stats for you, all right? And it doesn't matter about the regular season. Nobody cares about regular season stats. Playoff, right? In the 2 runs that they won their championships, just the first one, when they knocked off, who was it? Help me, New England fans. There was some team that was undefeated, right?
Hey, so you're trying to make a take for, you're just being facetious.
The playoffs, all right? Not only I think that year in 2007, he knocked off on the road Tampa, Dallas, and Green Bay on the road. While he did that, I think he was throwing 6 touchdowns, 1 pick, QBR 95, percentage 60%. Like, he did his thing when the time mattered. Granted, he had a great defense, but he showed up and made those passes. When he threw the ball to David Tyree, they say that people have a Heisman moment. Like, that's a Super Bowl MVP moment. Get off me, Seymour. Get off me, McGinnis. Let me roll out whoever was playing for the Patriots, and let me launch this downfield and make one of the best throws in Super Bowl history. And then followed it up with throwing the ball to Plaxico Burress because he looked over and was like, "You're going to play man? I got a 6'4" wide receiver that can not only out jump everybody, but this is before he shot his leg. Like, I'm tossing that into the corner, touchdown. Simple. Like, he showed up. Dude had balls of steel. He might have the stone face.
That's the shot clock. You got to respect the shot clock.
That's fine. But that's my Eli take. He's 100% a Hall of Famer.
My favorite thing is that you're like, Eli Manning, look at the playoffs. The regular season doesn't matter. And you mentioned 2 playoff runs, but he made it more than 2. And you didn't mention the other playoff runs. And I wonder
Doesn't matter.
Why.
Doesn't matter. It's the 2 that led to a championship.
Let's see. 4 other times lost in the first round. And I think he combined for, 4 interceptions, 6 interceptions, 7 interceptions, and 3 touchdowns in those other games. So if you want to take his playoff resume as a reason why he belongs in the Hall of Fame, I don't love that point. And then furthermore, so he has 2 championships. Which, I mean, if we're going to be honest, wins are not a quarterback stat. It's a team game. You got to shout out to your defense, your offensive line, the other guys around you. Regular season, if you want to count wins, I think he's 500, very average. And his touchdown interception ratio is a smidge over 500. He's let's see. I think it was 366 touchdowns to 244 interceptions. So kind of an okay quarterback. He's not the worst. Okay. He happened to luck himself in 2 Super Bowls. Doesn't make you maybe he's a basketball Hall of Famer because everyone gets into that one.
You know who's in the Hall of Famer with awful stats? Joe Namath. Broadway Joe.
The game's different.
I don't care. I do not care. You want to talk about a play? We can go on to the next one. But a player that rode the team wave to deliver 1 championship. Give me a break. Like, he did it twice.
All right.
Hey, they said it in the chat. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Hey, Flacco did it once. Eli did it twice to 2 of the best teams that were assembled.
Neither of them Hall of Famers.
No, Flacco was not a Hall of Famer. That's not even a topic. That's not even a hot subject. Flacco's not even close to it. He barely was elite at the time. We got lucky that the Broncos didn't know how to play defense.
They can comment if you've swayed their mind and Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. You were fired up about that one. I'm glad you had that one because you wanted that one so bad.
Yes, 90% of this chat is from New England, so you know damn well they're gonna say that that he's not a Hall of Famer. Give me a break.
Yeah, and I do want to say for the chat that you guys are the judge, jury, and all that stuff. I want you to not judge this based on your personal opinion, but did Darian or myself sway you enough with our argument of our bad take? You know, to you change your opinion. All right. Oh, good.
Next.
My first one is that Russell Westbrook was a good signing for the Lakers.
Good luck.
Now, I would say this. While he took a lot of crap this year, I want to say if you look at his career numbers compared to what he did this year, statistically, it's about the same. Field goal percentage, which everyone wanted to call him Westbrook this year because he was just bricking shots. His year last year, he shot 44.4% from the field, above his career average. Points, a little down, but LeBron was going for a scoring title, so you're not going to get all that production. Look across the board, rebounds matched his career average, assist almost at the career average. He averaged, 18.5, 7.4, 7.1. That's what you get him to do, right? And for me, I feel like all the crap he's getting is just because of the Lakers' record, which you can blame more on AD than anyone. It's just very convenient that the new guy is taking all of the crap. And I think he was the right signing for the Lakers because he's taking the pressure off LeBron carrying the ball. And it was a good signing because who else were they going to get? They wanted to get, what's his face? Buddy Hield? Great. You have another stand-up 3-point shooter. It's not going to change your fortune that much. So to me, it was a good signing, and you're just playing the outcome with the record, the win and loss.
Incorrect. Yes. As a Lakers fan, I'm glad you got this one because if you go off of the stats, you clearly don't have the eye test. And you can see that his field goal percentage, his shooting percentage, his turnovers, the same that he did his entire career. But you know what was awful while he's in LA is the timing behind all of them. Anybody can go in the first quarter and shoot 3 for 3, hit a layup, hit a jump shot. Guess what? He's got 6, he's got 9 points, a couple free throws. It was those third and fourth quarter turnovers. It was those third and fourth quarter terrible decisions to pull up and shoot a jump shot. You got 10 seconds on the shot clock. Russell Westbrook was dribbling it out like he was in OKC and maybe passing it to somebody in the corner or trying to force a jump shot. Like, give me a break with that, man. Like, the people that they missed out on it, you mentioned Buddy Hield. They missed out on re-signing Caruso, and they missed out on signing, I think it was re-signing Rondo. An actual point guard, somebody that's going to get your team over the hump or play defense. Russell Westbrook is just going to make it harder for your team to play defense because he doesn't hustle. Yeah, he's going to do his thing to get his triple-double, the fake triple-double that everybody wants to give him credit for. Granted, he did it for 2 seasons. I'll give him credit with that. But, like, he's not in OKC anymore. The expectation is for you to win. And when it's the fourth quarter, when it's crunch time, if you can't trust somebody to hit a jump shot or make the right pass, miss me with it being a great signing because he's not out there for defense either.
Because you're saying, oh, well, you're expected to win now that you're with the Lakers. Yes. He was not signed, or he was not signed. He was traded for. He was not brought in to be the number one scorer and carry that team. LeBron's supposed to be the number 1. AD's supposed to be the 2. And West's supposed to be the 3. So you're putting him in an unwinnable situation where at nights he had to be the number 1 option. Of course, it's not going to go well. It's so like to put him in a situation where he was bound to lose and say, "This is your fault. This was a bad signing." It's unrealistic and unfair.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna let you end on that one because again, this is your argument. This isn't mine
to make because I'm going against a Lakers fan.
Exactly.
Nobody's watching these Lakers games when they're like, 5-8 games under 500. No one was watching them, so like, no one's listening to your nonsense about the truth.
I was all right, and staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning to see them lose by double digits and see Russie launch shots off the side of the backboard from the corner. Miss me with it being a good signing for them.
I will say, like, I don't think it was a good signing. However, I do feel bad for his situation because he gets a lot of shit because he gets paid a lot. And listen, if someone wants to pay me 44 million, I'm gonna take it. So like,
well, he's not gonna turn it down.
No, exactly.
He took that player option quick. All right, that mother was like, as soon as it was re-sign day, he's like, yes. Where do I sign? I'm coming back. You can try to trade for me, but I'm taking my money because I'm not. He is a season away from barely getting the season minimum, the veteran minimum. Like he's that. That's where he's falling to right now.
Yeah. Maybe he'll have fun though wherever he goes next. All right, your next take from the hat.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh man, this is amazing because we talked about this one pre-show, and you're like, I don't want to defend this nonsense.
Oh, God.
You have to defend this take. The unwritten rules of baseball should be followed and enforced. So no bat flips for Darian, no trotting about on the bases, no fun. If someone acts up, you hit him with the baseball, you have to defend that take. Go for it.
This is the way that baseball should be. It's a traditional sport. If somebody throws a strike and you hit it out the park, just round the bases. That's all I'm asking. Like, we don't need showboating. We're barely getting out of the ways of people showing up like they all play for the Yankees. Like, now we got dreads in the game. We got people wearing armbands. We got people wearing armbands. We got people wearing a whole bunch of different colors and stuff on their arms and legs and all this gear. Ted Williams didn't have to wear any of that stuff. Ted Williams has one of the best hit batting percentages in the history of the game, and he didn't do it with all this fancy gear. So I don't want to see all this bat flip stuff. Like, Bonds is not a Hall of Famer. You guys missed out on that. He was on the juice. I don't want to hear Sammy Sosa or McGuire, any of those guys' names. Like, baseball is a traditional sport. It's something that you can turn on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, listen to it on the background, and you don't have to worry about any outside noise. You just want to hear, Vern Lundquist say something like, strike outside. We don't need to hear people say, that one's gone and he threw the bat into the third row. I don't need to hear any of that.
This, Darren, you win. Like, you win. You win. I legit spit water all over my keyboard. As soon as the dude with the dreads says, we don't need these dreads.
Clip that, bro. Clip
I lost
that.
my mind, dude. This is how this game was supposed to be played. To just take the take that's so stupid and unpopular, just run it. Just keep going with it. You just nailed
easy. That shit is not easy, bro.
Holy shit, that was amazing.
Told you I did not want to do that one. So
it was good though. Oh my God. All right. Oh, my next one. All right, I think I can roll this one.
Mm-hmm.
My take is that Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback of the next generation. It's hard to say he's the best quarterback. He's had the best coach, the best team around him. It's like Travis Kelce, probably a Hall of Famer. Tyreek Hill, possible Hall of Famer. Andy Reid, definitely a Hall of Fame coach. He's had an amazing team. I know he's had a good run at it, but there's other guys just as good biting at his feet, knocking on the door. We talked about one of them last week. Lamar Jackson already won MVP in his second year, right? If he gets a situation around him, Lamar Jackson had the team Patrick Mahomes had, they were in different situations, we'd be talking about Lamar Jackson like we talk about Patrick Mahomes. And then you got your boy in Buffalo, Josh Allen. Where the hell did he come from? He's just as good. They had a goddamn duel in the playoffs last year, had to go to overtime. And let me tell you this. If Patrick Mahomes hadn't got the ball first in overtime last year when it was the Bills versus the Chiefs, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl this past year. And we're talking about Josh Allen right now, legitimately as the best young quarterback. So, like, I get it. Patrick Mahomes was first to the scene as far as being the next greatest thing, right? The next, like, Tom Brady, the next whatever. But he's just first. He might not be the best. And I have to see two guys right behind him equally as worthy of the praise.
Two significant things that jump out when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. First, he's actually, I think you can put them together. He is a defensive lineman and an offensive line away from having 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Keep that in mind. If D Ford does not line up off sides, something where he had zero control over and had his team in the driver's seat for the win, when Tom Brady threw that pick in KC, they're in the Super Bowl. Not only are they in the Super Bowl, they absolutely obliterate the Rams. Like, Goff had no idea what the hell was going to happen. Andy Reid would have done exactly what Bill Belichick would have done, but they would have scored 50 on him, not 13. So that's part one. Second part is the offensive line. That man was running for his life, threw the entire team on his shoulders against Tampa Bay, and did everything that he possibly could have to have them in the championship and win another championship. That's not even stats related. That is just situation. So having the best yardage, having the best touchdown to interception ratio, the limited amount of turnovers. I think last year was a setback when it came to turnovers because he fumbled a little bit more having to run around. But like, just two situations, literally Everything that he's done, 2 games from having 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. No other quarterback can say that. You can say that about Brady in the early 2000s, but there's no other quarterback. And you have to play the game, so I get it. But he literally could not control D Ford lining up off sides in the game-winning interception or his offensive lineman getting injured before the Super Bowl. He couldn't control that.
Funny you're talking about personnel, like, oh, you can't control this guy. Just tell that to Lamar Jackson. You can't control the situation around you. Again, if you put Lamar Jackson on the Chiefs and flip the teams, we're talking about Lamar Jackson the same way we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about the same way we're talking about Josh Allen. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes. So, like, granted, and then this is Rich coming from the Trey Lance lover who's just keeps saying, dude, the situation's perfect. He's going to be great. Patrick Mahomes had the situation. It was perfect and it's great. In a lot of football, which everyone wants to say the quarterback. If you've played the game, you understand that to have a great quarterback, you have to have a great support system around them, not just on offense, but if your defense is turning the ball over and if the defense isn't getting turnovers and giving up, tons of yards, you're as a quarterback, you're fucked because like they know you're going to throw the ball. So like for Patrick Mahomes, perfect situation, really supported his ability. And that's not to say he's not a bad quarterback, but if you took some of these other really good guys and switched the situation up, I think you're seeing the same thing.
Again, it's your argument for it. I don't know how the crowd is going to feel about it.
I think Mahomes is better, but I had to make
it's not easy arguing against something that you believe in.
All right, this is the last one because I think we're running close on time. This is a good one. Are you ready? This is one of yours that you submitted.
Oh boy.
Your take is that Zion Williamson will be the biggest bust the NBA has seen in the last 10 years.
Yes.
So since Greg Oden, essentially.
The Greg Oden effect. Not only did it actually work out in the same way where Greg Oden was drafted first and KD was second, like Ja Morant is essentially the KD in the situation. He's a cheeseburger away from not playing in the NBA. Like I love the fact that when he's on the court, he's a 27-10 guy. He needs to be on the court. Like there are already talks in New Orleans saying that like the team is BIs. Like bring in another piece to surround around CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. How is that even a thing when you had Zion Williamson with the biggest biggest following since LeBron James? Like he can't stay on the court, and the best ability is availability. And if he gets another injury, like he's literally flirting with being the biggest bust that had the biggest hype. Granted, Markelle Fultz, I think he was one of those, but he's done his thing in other areas. He's on the court. If you can't play, you can't produce. And I know you're going to hit me with some weak-ass argument that's going to say something about like Joel Embiid. Embiid had a lingering injury that kept him out for the same reason. It wasn't one thing, then his weight led it to being another. I know he got his weight intact, but Zion Williamson is a 6'6", 300-pounder. He's not 7 foot, 300 pounds, getting to 280, 250. Like that frame, 6'6" is your normal 180 to 210s. He was 300 pounds. Like he's unfortunately, he's out of shape. He takes a big beating on his body because of the way that he's so explosive. And because of that, like he's going to continue getting himself injured. Mm-hmm. And we're a year away from literally him being one of the biggest, if not the biggest bust in the last 10 years.
The guy is 22 years old. 22, very young by any standard, NBA or real life. Already made one All-Star team. Probably the most explosive athlete we've ever seen at that build and size. And you said I was going to make a weak-ass Joel Embiid point, and it's not a weak-ass point, it's facts. After the same amount of playing time, I think this is his fourth or third year coming up, right? This is his third year? Yeah.
This will be his third.
This is his third year. Joel Embiid, who was a runner-up for MVP this past year, after that amount of time in Joel Embiid's first 2 years, he played less games than Zion Williamson. So if you look at their career side by side, you would probably say at that point in time, Joel Embiid is going to be a bust. Everyone thought Joel Embiid was going to be a bust, right? Because he wasn't playing. He'll never get his body right. Look at the man now, carrying a team to the conference finals 2 years ago, or the semifinals. This man is an MVP candidate, and we're just saying Zion Williamson, the highest, one of the highest graded prospects in the past 10 years. After 2 years, we're going to throw him away just like we threw away Joel Embiid. It's preposterous to call him a bust, just in general, like not even compared to the other guys that are drafted around him. And just as a little fun name to counter all of this nonsense that I didn't mention in the pre-show meeting that I would drop on you if I got this. Do you remember Anthony Bennett?
Oh yeah, was that 2010 though?
Am I out of the time range?
Yeah, I think he was 2010.
Because he
Yeah.
was the
I mean,
biggest bust I've ever met.
you keep going.
2013, I'm
Oh,
still in
2013.
this with
Okay.
Anthony Bennett.
Okay.
You cannot call Zion the biggest bust after 2
Yeah,
years
to
of being
counter what you're
fantastic.
saying though, Anthony Bennett didn't have the same expectations as Zion
He
Williamson.
was drafted 1, though.
You have to understand, we were talking about Zion when he was in 8th grade. We followed him literally more than than Brian Windhorst followed LeBron James because there was no social media back when LeBron was in high school. Like, we followed Zion when he was beating up 7th and 8th graders in middle school because he was doing 360 underneath the leg dunks. Like, that's the pedestal that we all put him on. So the expectation behind Anthony Bennett and Zion, granted, like Jamarcus Russell may be the biggest bust of all time when it comes to sports relation, but like if Peyton Manning fell on his face, like the two were not the same. They weren't the same.
Do you know what they did, the coaching staff at the Raiders, to trick Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah, with the tapes. Yes,
the tapes.
I know, bro.
For
Being an
those
LSU guy, I
unfamiliar,
have to deal with this shit all the time.
so the coaches were suspecting that Jamarcus Russell was not watching film. And to figure that out, because obviously they asked him, he's like, yeah, I'm watching film. They gave him a blank tape and said, hey, please go home and watch this. And the next day they said, hey, what was on the film? And he came up with some bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
He was bullshit. That's amazing.
But hey, if you're gonna be a game changer, be a game changer. He is the reason why there are rookie contract deals now.
Yeah.
Because you can't give $300 million to a quarterback that can throw the ball from the 50-yard line on one knee and hit the goalpost.
What do you think about this last segment? Because like we both rode hard for some terrible takes. I thought there was a lot of passion behind the bad takes.
Yeah, I like it. It's gonna be hard to keep doing them. Again, we don't do segments just for those that are watching. We don't keep wrapping up the same type of segments every week.
Yeah, it'll be different.
So it's not gonna be like takes from a cup next week. We'll probably ramp it back up in the next couple. But again, the same way that we've been talking about for everybody, whoever's listening on Apple Podcasts, Twitch, Spotify, Facebook, it even looks like. So big shouts to everybody else on those platforms. Submit your takes, submit your topics, anything that you guys want to hear. Myself and Trudeau go over. Like, it's all for you guys. Like, the more interactions that we have, so we love and appreciate everybody that's been in the chat. Yeah. Like, this is what it's for. So we want to make this as fun as possible. Bring up a wild take. And again, it's just like, whose line is it anyway? We got to figure it out. Like, that's part of the game. It ain't something that like we want to make it so that, it's just strictly stats. Like, no, like this is part of the games. We want to make it fun.
Trying to like get on that first take vibe a little bit here and there. I will say like we had some very good viewership today. Appreciate you guys all watching on the Twitch, Apple Podcasts. I mean, not Apple Podcasts, but Twitch, Facebook. I think we're also on Twitter right now, but please, if you are watching, subscribe to the podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're listening, remember, we do this thing live on Monday, so check us out. D, what's the Twitch account they got to follow?
D Frizzy Frizz, D_Frizzy Frizz. The same thing that we follow for everything that we have.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Peace out.